Hello again. Today I'd like to answer some of them folks that keep saying things like caveman days and out of touch with reality to folks that support a return to a simpler way of living. When discussing the nature of human existence and the effects of human society on us all, I frequently espouse a return to simpler ways, and I do so for two reasons. The first is that I don't feel that we're doing our people any great favors by teaching them to be dependent on a life of relative ease at the cost of their freedom to express what they are. Understand that I don't believe that it's human nature to be cruel or compete or to dominate one another. I feel that these are learned responses and that children taught otherwise would just as readily or perhaps more naturally be inclined to acts of kindness and sharing. I feel that somewhere in the early history of our race, our fascination with the power of predatory animals, combined with our fear of the dangers of the world, were the genesis of our animal gods, and soon became the basis for our predatory dominating behavior. But those are acts of fear and ignorance, which I feel very strongly go against our true human nature. Many people respond to my appeals with the remark that I'm not living in reality, which brings me to the second reason that I espouse a return to simpler ways. All indications are that human society today is not living in reality. The very nature which we've left behind is still there, refusing to go away. Nothing we make can stop this unstoppable force, and it's somewhat arrogant of us to assume that we could eradicate the very process which gave birth to our race. You have only to look to realize that we've created a fantasy land around ourselves, which we must constantly maintain against the will of the forces which surround us. The grass growing through our sidewalks fights against our manufactured illusion. The effects of corrosion on our steel structures fight against our manufactured illusion. The sun itself withers and degrades our manufactured delusion. The wind and the rain and the trees uprooting our foundations bear testament to the fact that it isn't nature that's not the reality, but every single one of man's creations. There was a show on the History Channel in which scientists around the world predicted what would happen if human society disappeared tomorrow. They projected that within a mere 200 years after our demise, nature would have reclaimed everything that we've made our own. The primary reason for this is that in order for society's manufactured reality to continue to exist, people have to maintain it. Our buildings, our bridges, our roadways, our vehicles, everything we've produced up until now must be maintained in a constant battle against nature. This seems to indicate that the vast majority of our industry on this planet consists of fighting against reality in order to maintain our version of reality. It seems to indicate that this so-called reality in which we live is in actuality a manufactured illusion. If we aren't engaged in converting the natural world into new creations, then we're laboring away at maintaining those creations in direct contradiction to the reality which surrounds us. We're manufacturing an illusion and then maintaining that illusion, and that is what we call industry. Industry is simply the enforcement of a manufactured illusion against the will of everything around us. The birds crap on our statues and we clean them. The grass grows up from our lawns and we trim them. The trees attack our power lines and we cut them. The oceans corrode our ships and we maintain them. The sun and the rain and the weather crumble our roadways and we repair them. And this is what we're doing. This is the nature of human industry and human society. We're living in the midst of a manufactured illusion, and that's okay. But what's not okay is that we've come to see this as reality. And anyone who espouses a return to simpler life is unrealistic. That's delusional. It would only take one major disaster, the sort that have happened many times on our planet before, to throw the entirety of our society back into the reality of the natural world. And how ill-prepared we'd be. How quickly the memories of a civilized society would demonstrate how truly uncivilized and out of touch we've become. How quickly we would realize how weak we are, how unequipped for reality and its ways. And that is, perhaps, the most compelling reason for returning to a simpler way, to prepare ourselves and our people to live in the reality which, as our constant struggle indicates, is not in accordance with the way we live today. And if the nature of nature is to oppose what we do and what we create, and if our race is born of those natural processes, one could argue that at some level we are opposed to what we do and create. One might suggest that modern, technologically inundated human beings are as destined to crumble as any of our creations. So until next time, remember, there's someone out here who loves you. Talk to you later.